There we go. How are we doing, bro?
He's got the Rabbitohs hat on.
You know, Curtis. Hey, and I also got this nice piece from you as well. Matches are lovely.
Don't mind you. How's the day going?
Good, bro. Good. It's going good. Pretty chill, eh? Just started off the day. Went for a little hunt in the morning, and then got into the shop, and then chilled in the afternoon. Yeah, not much.
Bro,
How about you, bro?
I went for a pick today and rode to Vegas.
Yeah.
Went to the library. I went and got a book out.
Oh,
A graphic novel. Let's just be honest. And then it was just me and my boy. We were just kicking it in Vegas and chilling. Bro, you must have the amount of halls that you have. Bro, they must be, how many shops are there in Nelson, G? Like, what the hell?
Yeah, I don't know. We just seem to be lucky here. I suppose I'm consistent for one, but we just have a lot of, I don't know, good op shops, I guess. But yeah, and they're always consistently putting out stuff. So yeah, it's crazy. I'm surprised how much I get out of Nelson alone too.
Yeah.
There's heaps, man.
No, it's like every week
yeah, no.
I'm like seeing your haul. I'm like, damn, what the hell? Like, holy crap! There must be like, it's dope.
Yeah.
It's dope to see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's taken hard. It's taken a while to sort of like fine tune, what I'm picking up and stuff as well. Like I used to just pick up anything and everything and have a whole carload every day. And it was just crap that I would be left with, Some of it ended up being good, like, because I held on to it. But other than that, yeah. But no, yeah, it is quite incredible, like what comes just out of a little place like Nelson.
Damn, that's mean. Bro, this is like super organic and super raw and like I'd like it to be as authentic as it can be. Like I was telling my son, 'cause he's making us dinner. He's like, oh, do you want me to interrupt you? Is that all right? I was like, yeah, bro, all good. Like, just keep it real. Like I was saying,
Let's go.
yeah, if you need to like tend to your whānau or your kids, bro, like go, bro. Like I don't want this to be some sort of staged. You know what I mean? Like I got a
Yeah,
dog.
for sure.
Yeah, I got a dog barking in the
Yeah, bro,
background.
that's what I love. It's so good. So good. Yeah.
Like I'm
I'm just posted up in my office at the moment. It's a bit of it's always evolving. One day it's tidy, and then one day I bring a haul in, and it gets all messy again. But yeah, it's a process. But yeah, it's good to be around like stuff you love all the time. Like I love your background there that you've been doing.
Bro,
It's,
I just did Ryu today.
oh, I seen that just on your story as well. Look
Yeah.
fire.
Um,
Yeah, and this little shelving as well. That's
y-
dope.
yeah, it's just like you, bro, and I imagine yeah, it would be the same for you. Like your wifey, my wifey is just always constantly on my case. Like, what is this here? What is this doing here? You're always leaving this around. What is this? Da da da. What is this
Bro,
crap?
story of my life.
Yeah.
The story of our lives.
I'm glad I'm not the only
Straight
one,
up.
bro.
Oh man, no. But sometimes I'm even like, why did you buy that? And then you pick it up and you go to throw it away, and then you're like, oh no, that's pretty cool. And then put it back.
I found myself
Let's crack up.
I found myself picking up random shit, bro. Like I started
Yeah.
looking for Crown Lin, like out of nowhere.
Oh, hard, bro.
I was just like, what the
Yeah,
hell am I
man.
doing?
But that's cool. That's cool, bro, because not many people do know about that side, like Crown Lynn and Kelston Potteries and all that. Like just in general, the ceramic scene. Like just in saying that, bro. That's just in saying that. I picked up this random one the other week.
Oh wow.
It's pretty dope. It's like 80s, I reckon. But what's really weird about it is it on the inside, it looks like a white piece of, crown lin. And it's just had this put on the outside of it.
Ah.
But if that was a crown lin piece, damn, that would be a good one.
Yeah.
But I pick up things like that, and then things like these. These are like little candle holders, but they're sterling silver. Now are like 50 cents each.
Wow.
They're like Danish mid-century 1950s sterling silver candle holders. And, they're just sitting in a junk pile, but they shined up real nice.
Yeah. It's probably a really cool segue to get into what it is that you do, and I because I've watched your video that was made about you. Probably, I'll be honest, bro, probably about five or so times. Just because I just really love it, and I love it when I know someone and their story, and it makes me feel a bit more connected, I suppose.
100%, man. 100%.
Yeah.
That's I suppose 100%. Like that's how I connect with like a lot of the even artists, music artists, or anyone around the world, whether it's like through this vintage culture and stuff. When they have like a little bit of a bio or their background and through visual or podcast, it is that like connection, like 100%, like because it's like that's how I got sort of like that connection through your stories and your videos as well, vice versa. But yeah, man, like for sure, I could talk about this stuff for days.
Your store, bro, like the first thing that caught my, I guess, it gave me some admiration for you. I was like, oh, this dude actually has a store. What?
Yeah,
That's next level.
yeah. It's and what's cool about that, is like sometimes like I even go, yo, we've got a store. Because it was always an aspiration of ours, mine and my wife's, Kaval's, is that we wanted a store. It wasn't necessarily what we have now, but we wanted something that we loved as such.
Man, that's beautiful. I love that. I know we've had a conversation before about, and I was basically just picking your brain, like what is this, what it's been like, what is that, like da 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 da. And
Yeah.
so, because the one thing that my partner loves about what you do is she instantly loves your name. She loves the name Rack Digger. She's like, that is a
Yeah.
cool name, because she's constantly giving me grief, bro. Like, what is a creative taro? What is that? What is that?
Yeah. I suppose because when I first saw it, I wasn't like aware that it was your name in it.
Oh yeah.
And so I first of all thought a creative, and I'm not trying to be that sort of stereotype, but a creative Pacific Islander.
Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah.
That's the way I put it. And then when you said Taro, I was like, yo, it's me. Like it's like you. That's you, creative Taro. You're creative.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I suppose
It's
it
that.
takes a while. Yeah, I think
Yeah.
she was like, Rack Diggers. That's such a good name for what he does.
Do you know what's crack up? Is one day I was listening to my dad, and he was like, he was talking about because when he used to go to the States and back in the day when he was into music and stuff like that, and was getting into sampling and things. You know how they call it digging through the crates for
Yeah,
records?
yeah.
Yeah, he was going, you dig through the racks. And I was like, yeah, we're the rack diggers. It was just
Wow.
organic. It was just organic, like, yeah, rack digging. um,
Damn.
yeah, because he actually dug through the crates and I've dug through the crates with him. And so, like, it just felt organic, like, yeah. And not all the time are we digging through racks, we're digging through piles of clothes, but just digging in general, I liked that sort of, because it's like what we all do is we are treasure hunters at the end of the day, we're finding treasure and we're mining for that, we're every day going through those racks, mining for that, those little gems and the gold in amongst those racks. And it takes time. And, that's ultimately where we're diggers, we're haulers, whatever, pickers, it's, purveyors. One of the best words I like is purveyors or curators. Curators got overdone, but purveyor is dope.
Like, I don't know what a purveyor is, bro. I don't know. Yeah. Well, can you explain that to me, bro? Because that to me
Um,
is it's.
a, a
I like.
purveyor. Sorry, you carry the question on. Sorry,
Oh no, I just like yeah, because
the
it's
background terminology.
well, it's a lot more than just going to the op shop and finding
Yeah,
a gem on a rack.
yeah,
Like,
100%.
there's way more to it than that. So I'd like you to, yeah, if you
All right.
can.
All right, we can dive more deeper into that. 100%. It is a lot more than just going and finding a gem on the rack. It's like for me, like I'll tell you, like from the beginning of when I grew up as a kid, there's something that drove me from the start to get into it, if you know what I mean, to get and to get the passion to actually have, like, you have to have an interest first, if you know what I mean, and with that
You gotta
interest you
like it,
gain.
eh?
Yeah,
Yeah.
you have to like it, like you have to have an interest, you have to like it, and what that brings is you digging deeper for more research. You find, and with that research, you find out more. And I think when you find out more about things, that sort of installs a bit more like love, like it expands that love for that, that subject or whatever it is. Um, and in our case, it's vintage clothing or just nostalgia or collectibles and history and knowledge. It's a lot of things. It's a cultural thing as well. Like because at the end of the day, in a whole, what binds it is the culture, as such. And so there's all these aspects that come with it that I've found that make the substance of what we do. So when I was young, my parents were antique dealers, and it's like what I loved about you, and how you explained why you got into it. It was a means for you to get into. You didn't have a lot of capital, like you were saying, and that was the same as my parents, bro. They were young parents, and they had me and my younger brother, early 90s, and it wasn't like hard to get a job back then, but they wanted to do something. They wanted to make something of their lives as such. And so they had sort of like a foot in the doorstep to do antique dealing with my grandfather, who was a dealer at the time. And so they got their foot in the doorstep by selling the certain piece. It was like similar to this, bro. And they put it in auction, and pretty much it was a wedding gift, I'm pretty sure, that they got. And they said, don't sell that vase, like it's worth a lot of money, like, so don't sell it. Anyways, I think they got a bit, it got a bit rough. They got the struggles came on, and they're like, oh, we've got that vase sitting up there. And so they put it in auction, man. And all I know is they put it in auction. They had a few things in auction, but they were waiting for that vase to go up. And it went up, and the bids just started flying in for it, eh? And this little vase got up to, I think it was around $900. And they were expecting $100, And so that was their, like, hey, we can maybe make a little bit of money out of this to support our family.
Okay, yeah.
But that little thing sort of got it was like a little bug, a little disease or such, a little seed. That was planted there, and that got my mum going and getting books out at the library. Got my dad, studying.
Yes.
What are we looking for?
Yeah.
And then they would ask my grandfather, what are we looking for? And he gave them a few tips. He also, it's a bit like our game. He set them on to a few sort of house calls that he knew of. And he said, you could go, there's this dude that offered me this shed, but I turned it down. But you could go in and buy it and make a bit of money out of it. So they got tipped off with little things like that. And they might have had maybe $200-300 to start off with, and they went and bought, you know, a couple of pieces of furniture and restored them, and then sold it off. But going round it back to, so that's how how my parents got into it as such, and then they realized, yeah, okay, through the consistency of going around garage sales and op shopping, and then, you know, getting a good rapport with customers. People will bring stuff to you to sell, or, you know, but vice versa, you might be able to trade with them or anything like that. I don't know if that ever happened with mum and dad. That definitely does with us, but it became like a good way of putting food on the table and paying the bills. And that, yeah, like what I can say is maybe, yeah, like the age of 7 or 8 myself, they took us out, and I was, you know, like, I've got specific memories of when I moved to Nelson. Actually, we moved to Nelson around 10 years old, but I was already at the garage sales in Timaru, and our family was well known because mum and dad had a shop, but mum and dad had taught us what to look for. And we were little kids, and we were like, mum and, like, it was like natural instinct for me, because I became not like, I loved it. I loved the thrill of, like, oh, I might get the toys and stuff like that. That was the first thing. And then mum and dad started to teach us, like, and it wasn't like, oh, you've got to do this. We actually started to, like, go, oh, what do we look for and stuff like that? Or is this good, mum? Or is this good, dad? Yeah. You know? And so it sort of turned into like a love of mine at a young age. And I started to roll under the garage doors when they were just starting to open, bro. And I was the first one in the garage, under the garage door. And I'd be snapping up all the stuff and then putting it in the pile for mum and dad, you know. And then, yeah, even cheeky little things, because it's quite funny with the dealer, like being a dealer in the game. Our prices can be more expensive for us than it is to, you know, the average, you know, person that walks in the garage sale, if you were known as a dealer. So they used to sometimes get me to ask the prices because it would be cheaper for me as a little kid. It was quite funny. It was quite funny. You know, I'd get the deals, man. Like, I'd be like, oh, how much is this set? You know? So, yeah, I grew up like that, man, like on a real hustle, and in terms of, you know, restoring furniture and buying stuff at garage sales, getting up at 5 o'clock sometimes in the morning to go get to the garage sale that's starting at 7 o'clock, you know, just to be there, because sometimes they're setting up early. And we've always lived by the thing, well, you're having a garage sale, you want to make money, you know, it doesn't matter how early the customer is. And that's, you know, how we always lived that. And the worst answer is you're going to get no. You can wait till the door opens, you know. Yeah. So yeah, I had lived by that. So that sort of had all built up this sort of like what I can say is like, I've talked about it recently because I only just discovered it. It was like a fear of missing out as such. A man, like I'm guilty if I go past the garage sale sign and I don't go in, bro. I'm so guilty. Like, I feel like I'm missing out on something. But it's been something that I've tamed over time. Like, you know, I've realized that there's enough piece of the pie for everyone, if you know what I mean, but also keeps me on my toes to know that I have to be consistent because I have a business and I have to maintain that good flow of items, and it keeps a healthy mind of myself. If I know I'm staying stagnant, and because I suppose what I do find is this is a love of mine, also a drug. It keeps me going. You know what I mean? I love the thrill of the chase, the thrill of you never know what you're going to find. And I find that healthy for me because you're finding new things all the time. And also that's new knowledge, new history, all that sort of thing. And it all develops and helps my knowledge in the whole of the vintage game. But yeah, that's the sort of like how I grew up at the start in Timaru, and then we moved to Nelson. And that's when, like, I was a little bit older, 10 years old, and I sort of had made a name for myself in the second-hand sort of industry, antique game in Nelson, sort of top of the South area, because I was this young kid rolling under garage sale doors. Had a bit of knowledge under my belt, being 10 years old then, or 11 years old. And there's one specific sort of story that I remember, and it's Crown Lynn, bro. And this dealer still sees me at the this antique dealer still sees me at the op shops and the garage sales. And if we're all waiting outside a garage sale, he'll come up to me and he's like, mate, I still remember the day you got that Crown Lynn World War II pottery porridge bowl in front of my eyes. You swiped it right in front of my eyes. And that was because I rolled under the door, and he still tells me that to this day. And so it's quite funny, like when you look back and you're like, man, like all of that was sort of like preparation for what I never knew I was going to get into vintage clothing and the vintage t-shirts, and this was going to blow up, never knew it was going to do that. In fact, it's kind of funny that I kind of think it's funny that I went this way into the game and not the antique way, because I was more developed in that sort of way. I suppose it was more my influence in hip hop and music and sport and all that developed the clothing and stuff through maybe the early teens and stuff like that. So yeah, it's been a cool ride all the way through the life. It's definitely been a different sort of lifestyle for sure.
That's bro, like as you're talking and sharing, I'm like, there's so many things going off in my head, because I'm like, okay, he's developed this like a massive skill set from like 7 or 8, and then he's learned how to communicate, like communication skills at such a young age. What he's got to go and ask for prices. I'm like, because that for me is daunting as a kid. I'm like, oh my god. Even as an adult, I'm like, like get a bit anxious and
100%. Well, I was, man. Like it was all a learning curve for me when I was first doing it. Like nearly every time I was like a bit nervous, because sometimes I did get like that will be $20, little boy. Sometimes I did get that. So that taught me as such as like, okay, there's certain ways to approach things as well. Like you were saying, there's a certain way to of communication skills that I've learned. Even like I use that even like just like when you're going around and asking questions like at the op shops and stuff like that, or at not garage sales. You're at garage sales, but just in general when you're going around, there's certain ways to ask things, and you'll get certain answers, like and you would know that by body language and all that sort of stuff. Like I've found that it's quite funny when you approach people, like I think in the general, when you go to the op shop and you're like, oh, anything out the back? You got anything out the back? That never works. Like I've seen a lot of people do that.
Oh, okay.
And then one thing for me, and it's it's quite a universal thing, but it's like you go to the thing and you got a nice t-shirt, and then the lady pulls, oh, that's a nice t-shirt. Yeah, I really like that. I was looking at it and I was like, man, there could be some more that could have came in with this, Wow. And then they're like, oh yeah, you might be right. I'll just have a check for you, and you sort of that, it's not about swindling them, but it's sort of like I've learned that over time. That I've said that once, and I'm like, man, that's how you sort of like you can get to those things. Then that develops a friendship. Like, oh, they remember me from the last time, and they go, oh, we got some more t-shirts at the back like that,
I love that, bro. As soon as you said that, it's like it's an art of communication, eh?
Yeah, 100%, man. 100%, and not everyone will be able to do it as well as what I've found is because I've tried to say that, and they're like, yeah, but you'll put a big smile on your face and things. I'm like, yeah, I do. You gotta be like, it's about holding that good vibe, because I suppose if you have a bad vibe, they're not gonna let you out the back.
Oh,
you got to hold yourself high, positive.
Bro, I'm large, bro. I'm a big boy.
Yep. Yeah.
And so I'm walking into stores and there's already a label.
Yeah, 100.
And I'm fully aware of it. However, I use it to my advantage. And I put on my proper voice.
Yep.
I put on my yeah, I speak full sentences and I try not to use too much slang and I
Yeah, yeah,
you
yeah.
know
I
no
feel you.
yeah
I feel you.
and I'm always asking, and but for me, my go-to, I guess, or my strategy is I'm always helpful because the ladies are always working, like so
Yeah.
like and a lot of them are volunteers, eh? So,
Then
so I'm like,
amazing.
oh sorry, bro.
No, you're good. You're good. I was
Oh,
just doubling back on that. They're amazing people, eh, volunteers.
oh yeah, like and they're really lovely people. Like they're
Yeah,
happy to talk to you, eh? Like
yeah,
have a yarn and stuff. So I always like if I see someone carrying something or someone's coming with a carload of stuff, I'm like, oh, I'll go help. Like I'm
yeah.
more than happy to do that for them, and
100,
that for me breaks down barriers straight away because they're like, oh,
100%.
this is a lovely boy. He's gonna go and help,
Oh yeah, man.
and then
100%.
yeah, so I'll go do that, come back in, look around the shop, and by the time I get to the counter, and it's happened more than once, they're just like, just take it, love. And
Yeah,
I'm just like, are you sure? And they're like, yep, just
yeah,
take it. Thank you very much
yeah,
for helping. Da da da. I'm like, okay, cool.
yeah. And I know you would be the type of person to go pull some money out of your thing, and they would almost get insulted by it. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, they do.
Yeah,
They do. That's like I've been growled
yeah.
before as
Yeah,
well.
me too. Hard, 100%. I know that feeling, bro, and that's why, like, I'll like going back on what you were saying, and like you're helpful. Like I've seen one of your stories where you went and drilled one of the shells or something. It was so good. It was so organic. It was so like raw. It was beautiful and it was lovely and like um but like that she'll go home and tell
Right.
her
Yeah.
friends about that, and it's not about the repayment of that. It's just like it's so lovely, like the wave effect of it, of being that being that help, being that sort of like, I see where I could be needed here, or
Bro,
I'm of value here.
bro,
um
big time.
100%, and that sort of works to your advantage as well, because that sort of like takes that image, that stereotype image that is often portrayed, eh?
Yep. Bro, I mean,
Yeah,
I'm walking in. I got Jordans on. I got
yeah,
a tall. I'm wearing a tall tee. I got a cap on. I got tattoos, and I'm walking into the secondhand store that's predominantly women's clothing.
yeah.
And then I'm like,
I feel you. I feel you.
oh, hi. She's, oh, hi, how can I help you? And I said, oh, do you got any men's stuff in here? She's like, oh, I've only got a small amount. It's just over there on that rack. And then she's like, oh, I've got so much stuff everywhere. It's da da da. And I was like, oh, I said, look, while I'm here, if you need anything done, just let me know. I'm more than happy to help you.
Yeah, yeah.
I was on my way home, bro. And then she was like thinking. And then I went and grabbed the hoodie off the rack and I was like, oh, this is awesome. I'm gonna grab this. And then I
Yeah.
put it on the counter and then she goes to me, do you mind doing a job for me since you offered? I was like, yeah, more than happy. She's like, I'll give you that hoodie if you want to. I was like, of course.
Choice, go,
Yeah, no
go.
worries. Anyway, I was there for about a good 2 hours. I was there for definitely 2 hours, bro, and I was helping her organize her storeroom. But the thing for me was here, bro. Um,
Yep,
I was smart enough to understand and know, like, this is a business owner who's doing something that I aspire to do. So in
yeah,
that time that I was putting her shelf up, I was
yeah,
asking her a million questions, bro.
yeah. Nice.
I was
That's
like,
the one.
oh, where do you get clothes from? How often do people come in? What's customer traffic been like here? Is it
Yep,
hard for you if there's another store close by? Like I was asking all of these like sorts of deeper, businessy type questions, and I gained so much from it. And she just sat there, bro, had a cup of tea, and just talked to me the whole time.
oh, she would have loved it.
Like put the shelf up. Like she was telling me her life story, and you know what I mean. Like it was
Yeah,
really, and like you said, bro, super organic. I didn't plan that. I was on my way
uh,
home, happened to see the sign out. Oh, I'll pull over, have a look. Just like you, I was getting guilty. Like,
yeah.
I should pull over. Yeah. Um.
Hard.
Yeah, and then me as usual, like I love sharing the adventures that I go on and things that I do. So I was like, oh, I'll share this to my story because this is just too good. Like,
Yeah, it
um,
was, eh? Because you went and got the drill, eh, out of the car. It was so good. I love it. Because yeah, and like the thing is, have you ever volunteered at like a charity store or anything like that?
nah, I've done a lot
Yeah,
of community work and given time and
there
stuff,
you go.
but
Yeah.
never like yeah, not in
Well,
a store.
just in general, like I've found like just we me and Caval have been doing a bit of just volunteering, and like the thing I love about it is like when we've been working, what like I wouldn't even call it work because we love it. You know what I mean? Just the company for one, some great ladies, man, like that we've met, and like you get to hear stories, and like some of the ladies are just terrific ladies. Like like some I think sometimes we like me for me one things I think it's probably getting back to that stereotype that we think maybe older ladies, you know, 60s, 50s, 60s, 70s onwards, maybe more 60s, 70s onwards are just boring, you know, and I'm not saying all for all, but when I'm listening to these ladies' stories, I'm like, man, you're an amazing woman. You know,
Bro,
you have
big
lived
time.
a life before me. You've lived through a time that I've never lived before. You know, the struggles and then some of the positives. Should I say, the pros? Um, it's quite interesting. You know, just being amongst that, and then we do a lot of the just helping out with the sorting and stuff like that. And so time flies, bro. And I get to about lunchtime and I'm like, oh, it's lunchtime, you know? And I felt like I don't want to leave, like, you know, because sometimes you're like by the clock in life, you know? But like all the pressures of, I suppose even when I had worked at a job, I was always looking at my clock, you know, when's it lunchtime? When's it this time? You know, when's it that? But when I was having a good time and amongst the volunteering or just
Yeah,
in general,
that's
when
dope.
you're out there working with other people or for like community, like a service as such, it feels good, eh?
Bro,
Like
it's so
it's
fulfilling and rewarding,
it's
eh?
fulfilling, eh?
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's what I've found that I've loved about that, like just in general, is going into places and usually like there's that automatic systematical pull of gotta give something to get something, or you gotta, yeah, or vice versa, gotta get
Mm,
something to give something.
yeah.
But in this case, it's like I just want to give, and I don't need anything back, you know, like just like I just want to help and be, you know, and that's a cool thing, like that I didn't know I had in me, you know.
Yeah.
Um, just giving back, giving time back, and also through that it became more of a healthy thing. Like me and Kaval like look at each other and go, man, we could be here all night. Like I could sleep here, wake up, and you know, sort through clothes and chill with
Yeah.
these ladies and volunteer with, you know, we're putting clothes out on the rack and everything, and lifting things when they need, you know, help, like you're saying, out the back of the rooms and there's a shelf that needs to be put up, or
Yeah.
you know, a garage roller door that needs to be rolled up, that stuff, you know, all sorts of jobs.
It's
um
there's I've I've always found some of the conversations that the ladies have in the shop hilarious.
Hilarious,
And
hilarious.
I'm in there, and I'm happy to laugh out loud, and I'm cracking up, and it makes them laugh even more because like the story that they've just shared about I remember walking in and a lady there was this lingerie kind of piece, and they were all gathered around having a
Oh.
yarn. They were all making assumptions about the person who donated it, and they get, oh, I wonder what she used this for. Da, 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 da. And, and then this older Pake lady comes around the corner and she goes, oh, shut up, da da da. You know exactly what she was using it for.
Oh, Gladys.
And I started cracking up laughing. And then the lady who said it, the old Pake lady, she's like, yeah, you know, hey, hey, boy.
Yeah. Yeah, you know.
I was in fits, bro. Um,
Oh, bro.
so I
It's
could,
so
I
so
can,
raw, eh? Like,
bro, I could only imagine some of the stuff that you've overheard, eh? And
oh, hilarious, man. Like, even just in my mother's shop, the antique shop, she's got some regulars. They're characters, man. Characters, like, oh man, like just some, and even when I've like picked up like furniture when that she's bought, and some of the people she's bought furniture off, it's like, man, they're out the gate, man. Like,
yeah,
hurry up and get that couch in the van. Let's get out of here.
bro. I went to a local shop in my town, and I went to go just have a look, and then I ended up hopping in the another customer's car with them
Yeah.
to go get a trailer from the lady for one of the volunteers' husband at home. Then he hopped in the car with us. So now there's three of us strangers in the car, and we went back to the op shop. We picked up this massive bed, like a queen size bed, and then we went to drop it off for another customer. So this volunteer had gathered two customers in the shop at the time to go pick up her husband and the trailer for this other customer, and we dropped it off at their house. Bro, we were lifting the stuff at we got the dropped off bed off to that customer. Then me and the other guy went back to the store, and then the lady was just like, "Thank you, boys." And then I was like,
Oh, she's running the free Allard Pickfords.
bro. And I just carried on. I just carried on picking, bro. I was like, "Oh, all good." That took
Oh
us.
man.
I think it took like 40 minutes, bro.
But she should be working for the job agencies.
Bro, but it was just so
That's so good.
yeah, it was just cool, bro. And I was more than happy to, like, sweet it is, man.
I love
All good.
I love that sort of stuff, eh? Like just a bunch of randoms like that, because it sort of happened at the antique shop. Like when my mum's like when me and my brother are not there, and like we might be just come back from a job, and that like there's someone picking up a piece of furniture at the shop, and then they've just got some random from the street, and honestly he doesn't look strong at all. Like he's just this he's just a male. You know what I mean? And he's struggling under this thing, and we rock up, we're cracking up, because it's like that though. It's like sometimes you just got to make do with what you have.
Man, oh, it's one of my fondest memories of being.
That's such a good story, man. Like the communal workers.
Bro, I mean, kudos to Auntie who was volunteering that day. She's just like rallied the troops, eh?
She gets it done, man.
Bro, I don't know who you are, but you're helping.
Yeah. Hey, you.
Bro, it was straight up like that. She was like, "What are you doing?" I was like, "Oh, I'm just shopping." She goes, come and help." I was like, "Oh yeah, sweet as." No, 40 minutes later, I've met two.
Wait, that would be such a good video, like just in general, if you did need to get a job done. Just go walk into the supermarket. Hey, what are you up to, bro? Do you want to come out with me?
Bro, it was crazy.
See how many people you can get.
So I was talking to the other guy who was with me, and I thought he was with her. I thought he was like a son or something. And he goes to me, I go, "Oh, che, bro, what were you up to?" And he goes, "Oh, bro, I was shopping." I was like, "Oh, me too." We were just both shoppers, bro.
That's gold.
And then I was crack up ass because I think I seen him at the supermarket, and he like gave me the monthly wave, like,
yeah,
this is the bro.
Workmates.
Yeah. Oh, it was funny, man. But yeah, like that element to what we do, bro. I love
100. The communication that yeah, just so many random things can happen on your op shop run.
bro, big time, eh? Man, I like going back to when you were sharing. I'm like, okay, this guy's picked up so many skill sets, all this like I guess unintended knowledge. Like it wasn't intentional by your parents; it was just what they were doing, and you guys went along. And the cool thing too, you said about how you were like open to it. Like you were like, Yeah, what is this? What does this mean? Like, and you're
Yeah,
probably asking all these, like a super inquisitive young kid here, like, what is it? Like,
yeah.
how
We
does this work?
100% were, bro. Like we were inquisitive. I know I was very inquisitive in terms of, I suppose because like it's a little bit like my kids now. We're around it all the time, you know. There was furniture. Dad didn't go to work every day, you know, like a normal person. And mum didn't go to work every day like a normal person for the first part of our lives. Um, and well, they did. Don't get me wrong, they did. They were. That's probably the beauty of it, is what this business turned into for them. Is they actually at the start were working sort of little, maybe 2-3 jobs in between themselves, and then doing the antique dealing when they were first starting out. And I suppose, you know, having young kids, it is an expensive lifestyle as such, having young kids, and then trying to start a business as such at the same time. So yeah, they were doing as much as they could, but what it turned into eventually was a full-time job that was flourishing as such.
Mm,
I
yeah.
suppose, like anything, it had its ups and downs,
Yep.
but yeah, like they really took it and went with it, and I suppose they backed themselves as well. And one thing that probably I've learned with, just from seeing it in a young age, like I don't know if I touched on that in the little small sort of like short story that you watched, and that's on our page there. Um, but like with that is that over time, from the start of antiques, when I was growing up, it's totally evolved in trends, if you know what I mean.
Oh, yeah.
Like it goes round in cycles. So when my parents, in the early days when I was watching them, they were going for very like late 18th century, early 19th century things, like Victorian era, you know what I mean? So there was a lot of cups and saucers, you know, Royal Doulton, Beswick, Carlton ware, like the list goes on with all those sorts of ceramics. And the one that they sold in auction was a piece called Clarice Cliff. And you may have heard of it, but she was very famous in the 1930s, the Art Deco sort of era. She was before her time, and she did things like these, but they were all orange and green. But that was in the Depression era, so she was very before her time. She was doing things colourful before the 60s and 70s. So in the 30s, she was doing that, and she became very famous. So you can get vases like this and this size, but they're all colourful and they're worth about $2,000.
Wow.
Back in the day, they used to be worth more. So things can depreciate, just like we see our t-shirts depreciate as well, you know, in value. And then they'll come back, and they may come back bigger than ever, you know what I mean? And be way more expensive than the first time they became as a collectible item, or at the peak of their collectibleness as such. So that's what I saw in the start. Mum and Dad were going for Victorian era things, a lot of New Zealand things like Renew trunks, Renew wardrobes, a lot of like dresses, I think it was 70s, and then like a lot of 30s, 40s sort of dresses, Art Deco, Art Nouveau eras. And now, maybe looking back, start of 2010, it sort of evolved. It was evolving to 2010, and then by that time, Victorian was completely out. You couldn't sell it, you couldn't get rid of it, nobody wanted it.
Yeah.
And then it sort of became into retro, and we saw our retro things, the funky 60s, 70s things become more valuable. Mid-century, 1950s, that stuff, the Danish wear, and your sort of
Bro,
what you would.
you're blowing my mind, bro. I'm like, what the hell? You said a word. I'm like, what the hell is that? Art Nouveau. I was like, what the
Art Nouveau, bro. It's one of my favorite eras, and you'll know it. You'll know it for sure. It goes from about the 1860s to 1920s.
Okay.
And that's an era of, oh, it's beautiful era, man. One of my favorite eras in clothing and just in general the art. I'll see if I have a,
Nah, all good. Bro, that's because when you were just talking, there was two things that came to mind. I was like, the first thing is, I don't know what the fuck he's talking about. He's dropping science on me, like I don't know, like this is knowledge. And then the second thing you talked about was that you started off with trends, and then you started talking about like history.
yeah,
How to have you found that translate to clothing, bro? Because I'm real I'm
it
very
works.
watchful of
Yeah,
trends and how things are evolving in the scene, and I'm conscious of like the next generation and like what they're consuming and what they're viewing as being trendy.
yeah,
How does all your knowledge, bro, and the antique world, and bro, it's freaking vast. How
yeah.
does it help you translate it to what you're doing with your business?
Um, it definitely works hand in hand. Um, I suppose one thing about the knowledge of antiques that goes with the clothing is there's little pointers from each era. You know, it's sort of like almost primitive to, you know, you're seeing machinery come into play. So you'd see in different methods of things, you
Oh
know,
wow.
slowly through the things. It's the same in clothing, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
So like, you know, the primitive furniture back in the day, they hardly used to use it much nails. It was all just, you know,
Yeah.
dovetail, and they all joined like that,
Yep,
the
yep,
joins, and they all, and then that was the same with, you know, what we see with single stitch, you know.
yep.
That was what I believe, from my understanding, was just the run through by hand, just a single stitch through the sewing machine. And then they got an industrial machine that had two prongs with the double stitcher. And so that was just more advancement in machinery. It wasn't necessarily, and also when you see advancements of machinery, that's eras as such. So that
Mm,
machine came in a certain era. So that's when you sort of put a cap on, like, oh, yep, this came in here. And then it sort of started to become obsolete during here. And then you sort of
mm,
see what started and became replaced that, you know?
yep.
And so it's quite easy once you do break it down, like when you break it down to the simplicity forms of it, like just when things, it's like, you know, like what Nikola Tesla's doing now, you know what I mean? They're going to look back and from 50 years to 100 years, you know, in the future, and they're going to look back to what Tesla's doing now. And they're going to go, oh, he made that electric car then. And then, you know, and then they switched up what cars did here. You know what I mean? So it's very like hand in hand with like history, I suppose what you call the material actual work, the physical work, or the industrial sort of it. And then that sort of gives you an insight as time goes on. Yeah, the methods that they used as such,
The technology
the
evolved too, eh?
technology, the technology as such. But yeah, I have, I don't know, like what I love also, like I can tell that you're if you grew up around this as well, you probably would have been quite similar. Like I have an intricate mind, if you know what I mean, in terms of like the way it ticks. I want
Mm,
to know like the background of it, if you know what I mean, like
yeah.
how it works,
How does it
or
work? Yeah.
yeah, if I'm interested in it, I want to know it, you know.
Yep.
I don't like especially sort of being on the hand of selling things as such, as I want to know what I'm selling, you know. I want to be able to give value beyond the material as well, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that sort of that helps in a whole as well, but also gives me a wholeness of like I'm not just talking a whole lot of shit, maybe,
Yeah. Yeah. For real.
um, or maybe as such, like it's like a wholeness that, like, okay, I can pass this knowledge on, and that knowledge can be passed on and passed on and passed on, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
yeah. I like what you said. The value past the what was it? You said there was value past the.
Gee, man, you can we have to rewind that one.
Yeah,
Um,
it was a gem anyway. I was like, oh wow. It was kind of like to me, my interpretation of what you just said was it's more like it's more than just a shoe for like sneakerheads.
yeah, Yeah.
It's
There's value. Oh, you 100%. Like there's value in it and beyond like just the physical, the material.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Like I have, what do I have? Oh, like so, like Jersey dudes, bro. Like there's a
Yep.
certain year, yeah, like 90, 94, 95 Auckland Warriors jerseys are super nostalgic for dudes because they remember it. They remember the year.
100.
They remember the inaugural season of the Warriors. They remember
Yep.
the hype. They remember going to the game. They remember all the players. So when they finally get their hands on their jersey,
Yeah.
there's that value beyond the material, eh? Like,
Oh man, it's like wearing a jersey made of gold. Sometimes, for these people, you know what I mean? Like that feeling, like it's got value to them.
yep.
You know, that real value. Because sometimes a gold plated, like not for me. I wouldn't care if I had a 9 carat gold jersey. It would be cool and but for some other pieces that I have, I'd way rather have that.
Yeah.
And that's the same, yeah, like you say with that is it 93, 94 Warriors jersey.
Yeah.
That's it's like I was saying, it's when we do dig these gems up,
Mm.
that's not a gem to someone, to some people, it's a gem to the person,
Yeah.
that
Exactly.
likes it. So that's where I like to use that term gem as such, because yeah, it's a gem for someone like that. It's gonna hold it like the prized possession, man. Gonna wear this with pride, like the crown jewels.
Bro, for real. Like I got a like this is a FUBU piece, bro, that
I
I picked
like
up.
it.
And it was I got it and like
Love it.
rarely do I find something that fits me and it fit me, so I was like so happy and so stoked, and I brought it home and showed my boy's 15, my
Yeah,
son.
yeah.
See, I'm like, bro, check this out, and he's like, what the hell is that? Like, so like stink, like I'm like, nah, bro, like LL Cool J was wearing this back in the day, like nah, bro, he was, like I was talking it up, but I was like, yeah, and just to yeah, I guess reinforce what you're saying, that the value beyond the material and the
Yeah,
people,
man.
the
Like,
nostalgia that it holds for people, eh? And now that's what I love about all vintage clothing, bro, because
yeah,
it all does that, eh? For
yeah.
somebody.
It does. It does. Like, I don't know how many people I've explained it to, but I explained it to a person in the store the other week. There was this one T-shirt that I remember nostalgically as a kid seeing it, and I can remember exactly where I saw it.
Oh
But
wow.
I remember the time I saw it, and it wasn't in a store. It was a kid with blonde, long hair wearing it. He was a skater kid outside the ANZ Bank in Timaru, outside the
What?
waterfall. Like, I remember seeing this physical T-shirt, bro, and it was the ES skateboards,
Mm.
ES or S. I think they pronounce it S, but I've always called it ES. But
Yeah, I call it
S,
ES as well.
yeah, S skateboards. But it's a specific and why it's kind of like, it's kind of funny to me because like I was brought up in the church, and so it was this ES T-shirt, and it said Jesus loves you, but it had the J in the US crossed out, and it just had ES loves you, and it was, bro, and I loved that T-shirt. I used to be like, oh, it actually says Jesus loves you,
Damn.
but it's like subliminally crossing it out under the
Yeah,
skate tee, and I just like always had this like, I like that. That's badass.
yeah, yeah.
Like in my world, because I was growing up in the church, and so I remember that one T-shirt, bro, and like it may not be worth anything now. Like if it is, it deserves it because I thought it was a sick T-shirt. But I would pay for that,
Yeah,
for that
yeah,
T-shirt
yeah,
because I want it so much. There's that memory, and so that holds that that value
yeah.
there that's higher than what it's actually probably worth.
Bro,
I would I
bro.
would
So
pay big bucks.
yeah, yeah, for real. Like I recently did a story on my story, and I was just like, I wanted to know what everyone's grails were because
Yeah,
I knew that everyone's grails are different.
yeah,
And like it's always interesting to me what people consider grails, and you see a few people pop up like post something up or share on their story, and it's got Grail, and I look at it, and I'm like, hmm. But I'm like, but at the same time, I'm like, that must be a Grail piece to them and their world or their experiences and what they're into, because I
Yeah.
shared my Grail, and it was like these like bodybuilding like Pacific Island dudes. We call it like they used to have Hawaiian Strength and Samoan Strength t-shirts back in the 90s, and it's
Yo,
basically just bodybuilder dudes like posing, and then it's got like palm trees and stuff behind it.
that'd be fire, bro. I like bodybuilding, bro. My bro's a bodybuilder, so
Oh, bro! So like in that, like
that'd
I
be
don't.
fire.
They're dope to me. Like they're grails to me. My uncles had them. Yeah, my dad
Bro,
had them. I'm like, I've never seen one again. Like since the 90s, until yesterday when Smash sent me a message and said, "Bro, I seen your post. Here's I've got this," and it was one of them, bro. I was like, oh my gosh.
I knew someone had me mixed up too because someone sent me that message saying, "I heard you had some blah blah some what were they? Sorry."
Like Hawaiian Strength.
Yeah, Hawaiian Strength or Samoan Strength.
No,
Um,
no, I sent someone your way yesterday,
ah, yeah,
and
yeah, yeah.
they were just looking for Hawaii teas.
Oh, yeah, 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 yeah.
And I said, "Oh, the bro, Rack Diggers has got. I'm pretty sure I
I
remember
do.
seeing him have. Yeah, so I sent
Yeah,
him your way, bro.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. I actually, because I was confused, because I was like, did I pick up a? Because I was like, I had to go through my stuff. I was like, did I pick up one of those? Because sometimes it gets like that. But yeah, nah, man, like yeah, those sorts of t-shirts are like I wouldn't say no, I would probably say rare, but I like those sorts of things if you know what I mean too. So that would be dope for like to get hit up and say like I've got this.
yeah. Like, because what would be? I guess what would be your grail? What would be your gem?
Oh, um, I don't know. It's very interesting because I'm quite diverse, like in terms of Um, it's really weird, bro, because when I first started to accumulate and get like some good t-shirts under my belt, it's not like I lost passion in it, but I started to search. Like I would say, bro, a lot of my t-shirts that I wear, I have some mad amazing t-shirts, but a lot of my favorite t-shirts are like skate t-shirts that are like from the late 2000s and things like that are my grails, and it doesn't seem like a grail, but and so that sort of like has like sidetracked me from like what a grail is to me now, you know what I mean, because I'm
Interesting.
like, yeah, so that's even interesting in saying that because I've lost my whole passion of searching for like that ultimate t-shirt or something like that, if you know what I
Yeah,
mean.
yeah, yeah.
It's just because my flavor and it's developing all the time as well. But I can probably say, I would probably say something like a peyote tagged like bootleg like Dragon Ball Z, or yeah, like those, if you know those peyote tags, or Mexican sort of I think they're called Resurgion or Resurgion. Have you seen those tags?
No, I haven't, bro.
Bro, I'll go grab you one.
Oh man, crazy. Just while we're here, while Josiah goes and grabs that, folks, don't forget to follow him at Rackdiggers on Instagram and all kind of socials as well. Also his store in Nelson. Um, if you're in the area for a holiday or you're just going down to visit, be sure to go and check him out at his store. We can provide address for you. Yeah, in the description or whatever it is that we're going to be doing. But yeah, hope everyone's been enjoying themselves listening to the bro and what he's got to share. I definitely am learning a few things here and there. But my son's just bought me some pizza. I'll just grab it right now. I won't, that'll be rude. I'll just wait for that. But and just while we're talking, oh, here we go.
Stuff it. I grabbed a few. But I suppose, like, yeah, when I can say, like, you know how like when you go into a store and the store clerk or the worker there is like, is there anything I can help you with? Can I point you in the right direction?
Yeah.
And for me, when I ask that, because sometimes you do get people that need help, but I also ask, or is it, are you just waiting for something to catch your eye? So that's the way I sort of put my grail as such. I'm just waiting for it to catch my eye as such.
That's a
It
good
becomes
way to
my
put it.
grail when I see it.
Yeah, it's a great way to put it.
Yeah, like it's developing all the time as such. But I suppose I really love culture in terms of like, especially like this sort of one here, the black woman, like
Oh,
Nefertiti,
wow. That's cool.
Mother Civilization, things like that, that are real cool to me. Just great artwork, but also a bit of history in it. But
Yeah,
yeah,
I love that.
the black woman, Mother Civilization, and it says, "Before me there was none, and after me there shall be no more." It's,
Wow.
but yeah, that's real cool. Single dingle. I'd say that would be 80s, early 90s. So that's like, it's not necessarily a grail, but like I love that sort of. I mean, it's quite funny as well. As my mum's got she's part Māori, but she's Pakeha, like pretty much,
Mm.
and she absolutely loves black woman and the black culture. So I grew up with a lot of, if you've probably seen them, they're like 1960s, 70s Nefertiti black women's heads, and they hang on the wall.
Yeah, I have.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I grew up with 20, 30 of them in our lounge wall. Just sitting there. And it was quite funny because we're also Christians, like growing up in the church. And then also mum being white, she was so obsessed with black, with the Africans. And like, it was quite funny, having friends over and they're like, why has your mum got heaps of black heads on the wall? And I'm like, that's what she loves. And like once I started to I got into what she liked, and so it sort of developed into this in our culture, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
I don't have things hanging on the wall, but I wear this sort of stuff.
Yeah, it's cool.
So yeah, I grew up with this sort of stuff on our walls and stuff like that. And then later in my teens and even now I start to learn about, civilization, the first civilizations and Egyptians and, just some cool knowledge. So that's like, one part of it. I won't go through all of these because they will go for a month of Sundays, but Malcolm X's and stuff like
Oh,
that.
wow. Damn, that's dope.
I love the sleeves, and that's double-sided.
Jeepers. That is
So
cool.
yeah, I love those sorts of like I suppose I do like the Black Power sort of like the Black Panther sort of movement and Malcolm X and Huey Newton and what they stood for, empowerment.
Yep.
And then I go on to, I love, like, I'm quite diverse in my music. So I love, rock and roll. I love rock. I love, punk. I love hip hop. I love trap. I love drill. I love all the new stuff that's coming out. I like to stay relevant, but also, stay on the relevant side, whereas music's always evolving, but it's also taking from what has been laid before them as well.
Yeah.
So, like, as such as it's like, I've always liked Gucci Mane's view if you've ever heard his view on, like, when he got asked, what do you think about the mumble rappers and all that? And he's like, I was a kid once getting into this game as such, and, nobody liked me at start, sort of thing.
Yeah.
Some people still don't like me, but he said, I was a part of that time. I had a place in music, and now he has sons in music as such.
Yeah.
I always like that approach is like, I think I've talked on it as like, there's, it may not be for you now as such, but, don't disregard it as such.
Yeah.
So I've always had like a diverse range. So I love like Hendrix.
Oh, wow.
Hendrix.
Damn.
So I love that one too. That's on the top heavy. But this is the one I was talking about, the tag, that's like a Mexican bootleg Resurrection. You've probably seen it maybe?
Nah, I haven't. That's cool. I'm learning.
It's a cool tag. They did lots of bootlegs. This is a Mexican sort of, I don't know if death metal, it's more metal band, but amazing print. If you can see the like horses up the top there,
That graphic is dope. I
you
love
should
that.
see the
I love.
back graphic is insane.
I love that your Grail is a bootleg. I love
Yeah, bro.
that.
And look, and it's not even a band I listen to.
Far out.
That's the back hit, bro.
Whoa. There's
And I,
stallions.
yeah, bro, like it's
That's dope.
crazy.
That is dope.
And then like just how big it is, like that's a massive print.
Yeah.
And some cool colors in there. And yeah, that one's like a, it's more like probably to my Grail to get is on that tag. There is, I believe there is Pokemon, and there's a lot of band tees on this tag, but there is Dragon Ball Z ones on this tag.
Ah, okay.
And that's probably my Grail as such, or a peyote tag. But yeah, I like that. I like things that are different. You know, when I actually I got this one at Long Beach Market, and like no cap, I'm pretty sure I paid like $20 American for it, and it was before like how all the all over prints have gotten big, like they're worth
Yeah.
blah blah blah. This was before that sort of wave, like before any all over print was like worth a bit of money. And so when I got that, I was like going like to the lady, I was like, "That's an amazing T-shirt. Like that's like a something you see on a Italian museum, you know." And she's like, "Oh no, I like the Metallica." She was Japanese. She's like, "I like the Metallica, the blah blah blah. That's nothing,
Yeah.
And now I reckon this would be worth something as such,
Yeah.
It's a beautiful tease, but it's it's Heroes del Silencio. It's a cool sort of Mexican band. There is one song that we know. I think it was in Fast and the Furious or something like that by them.
Okay.
And it was an old '90s song by them, but that they used, I think. But yeah, that's like a a cool one sort of thing. But the list can go on, eh? Like even this is a Grail for me, and it's kind of sad because I was sad a couple of months after they released it at Culture Kings, so I got it on the drop. But rest easy, Pop Smoke.
Oh, cool.
Those sorts of things are pretty cool to me because like that's like I really really messed with him, and this dropped like I think the day of his album.
Oh, wow. That's cool.
Meet the Woo. I was gutted though. They dropped it on Culture Kings like 2 months later. I was like, fuck, I waited 2 months for that. But yeah, like things like that I can find. Like you were saying, like everyone has a different Grail. So like yeah. Then like the
Oh, that's cool. The big
Pippin, Rodman and Jordan. Love Rodman myself. I love Jordan and I love Pippin, but yeah, it was just cool to see Rodman on there. There's a few of these round I've seen in the scene.
Yep.
In the circulation. I love how faded this one is on the back though.
Yeah,
it's got
dope.
Jordan. I think it's got Jordan kissing the oh no, it's not. It's got Jordan jamming or something like that. But really cool fade to it. 1996 champions. That's on that really dope. This is the bootleg. That's always on the bootleg rap tees. Evans tag.
Yeah.
Nice tag. This was one of my first rap tees.
Oh shit. Ladies love.
That's a Smith on the back. One of the homies, this is a cool story. Like, one of the homies actually hit me a few months earlier from LA that I go see. And he said, I'm coming to New Zealand. Coming to Auckland. Just want to come for a holiday. Where do you live again? I was like, Nelson, bro. What? It's ages from Auckland.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's like he said, I said, maybe not worth just coming to my shop, just to fly all the way into Nelson. Bro, he ended up coming to my shop. He stayed for one night, and he was just coming to meet me and see me and see where I lived and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And yeah, he brought over a couple of rap tees and he bought a couple of tees off us and things like that. But that was my first sort of like it was at that time. I think this is worth a little bit more now, but at the time they weren't worth much, if you know what I mean. But now I've always held this as a grail, and I'm glad they're starting to get recognition, because for ages they weren't getting anything. Okay, these things. That's cool. That's super cool.
That is so dope.
Got this off the homie. Sorry, I shouldn't just run through t-shirts, but yeah, got that off. This is all out of the personal anyway.
Mary
But that's off the homie. Second Chance, the homie Mark.
Oh man, that's awesome.
Yeah, that's a cool bootleg. I love that one. So yeah, anything like that, and then
Hey,
Bone is my first love and hip and rap.
yeah.
Yeah, Bone all day, bruh. And then
what was the dope album?
how yeah, and then a bit of a
shit. Oh shit. Bro, Cypress Hill.
and then it's got the cool. I'm pretty sure this is by Pusheed as well. That little hit there.
Damn.
But yeah, those two like a nice little on the top heavies. So they're nice, like nice Australian made ones to have, eh? I was quite lucky with those. Like the Homie Smash Club got that off the Homie Smash.
Yeah.
And then that one was like just a good like swipe over in Australia on Depop. So, but yeah, like I say, it's like I might even find a grail tonight. You know what I mean? And I never knew it existed. So like a lot of the like and saying that this was one of them, and I think I've shown you that one.
No, I didn't think so.
This is the one, and I might be able to pull it up. You can pull up things, can't you? Or photos, can't you?
I
don't know.
Sure.
But I think you can on Zooms. But this particular T-shirt, I was watching an Australian live, and it was real weird. I was like, I knew like he was about to say something dope. Like he was like, I really love this T-shirt. Like he was like, I really love this T-shirt. I actually have been holding on to this. And then he goes, the bro. I believe it's 5 Vintage from Australia. And he goes, I've got this T-shirt here. And then he showed like that, and I was like, oh yeah, it's okay. And then he told the story. He's like, and you might have seen the tip of this T-shirt. Tupac wore it in the photo where he's with Biggie Smalls, and he's going like this, and he's got a vest on, and Biggie Smalls has got a bandana on, you know, just a strip around like, you know, Jules Santana wears it. And yeah, Tupac's wearing that T-shirt under the black leather vest that he's wearing, and you can just see the top of the skull popping up. Damn. Anyways, he was telling that story, and I'm like, I know that photo. I love that photo. I'm pretty sure I've got that photo on like a late 2000s, you know, on one of my personal T-shirts. So it's one of late 2000s T-shirts I picked up in the States, you know. And I think I swiped out of the live quickly because he was still telling the story. I went and searched the photo, saw that T-shirt, and I was like, I'm going to buy that T-shirt. That's a fucking grail, you know? And then I continued, I got back into the live, and then he was going on how that it was a cigarette company out of London, I believe, that only lasted for not long. They didn't last for long, but they were a cigarette company that told you the truth about cigarettes. Okay. And that's why they're called death cigarettes. It's because they kill you as such. But so all of that, you know, in about 20 minutes became my grail, you know?
Damn.
I didn't even know about the T-shirt itself. I just knew about that photo. I love the culture of hip hop, and then it's so nostalgic and rare to get that photo of those two together, and to have something that possibly was from that era, you know, pretty cool.
So he actually sold you on the value past the material.
There you go.
Wow, we're gonna full
circle. The story
circle.
behind it sold it to me. Like yeah, like you said, like I said, should I say? At first, yeah, I was like, oh yeah, that's a cool tee. And then he really pulled it out of me. I was like, oh, you know? And that's probably something about myself is I do listen. Like when someone's trying to tell a story, I try to give them all ears, you know, like as such as you know, everyone deserves that sort of time to go. And like, cause sometimes I feel like that even when I'm explaining, saying people maybe like not listening and they won't understand possibly what I've pulled out of this, what I think of this t-shirt as such and why it's so cool as such. And it's a story that it's obviously a sales, like it's a sales pitch as such, but it's also me trying to get that point across that this has got a cool aspect, more a value to it. It's more than just the material as well, the story behind it as such. And that's probably a lot of why we're in the game as well, is it's like we love the stories, the nostalgia behind things.
Absolutely. I'm like sitting here listening to you and looking at your shirts, and I'm like reassessing what my grails are. I'm like, actually, what are my grails and why is it?
Yeah.
I've just included now that as you've been sharing yours, I'm like, okay. So I used to watch Jonah, bro, play in Pukeko Stadium. I used to watch him as a 18, 19-year-old, 20-year-old.
Wow.
Yeah. I got to watch him live, bro. Like,
man,
pretty consistently, like for maybe 2 whole seasons, I got to watch him, bro. Just absolutely destroy people.
Wow.
And now I'm thinking, yeah, I think maybe a Counties Manukau rugby jersey is probably my grail.
Hard. The counties, bro, hard. And you know what? In saying that, I'm very much like along those lines. I didn't get to see Jonah play all that often, but he's always been one of my favorite players as such. Just one encounter that I ever had with him was in Carisbrook Stadium. I had 2 encounters with him, but Carisbrook Stadium.
Damn.
Bro, he like it was quite interesting. Like, I think we might have been annoying little kids as such, but I think we asked him for a piggyback, G. And he didn't just carry me, he carried me and my cousin one shoulder or around because I think Carisbrook used to have like an athletic running track around it. Yeah, bro, he walked us around the whole track, bro, on his shoulders. And like I think it was my cousin that asked him, can we have a piggyback, Jonah? And I show you, it's quite funny. And then like I've still got this from that day.
Damn.
You remember that? You remember these? But yeah.
Oh.
But that from that day at Carisbrook, yeah, I've still got that sitting there. But he was such an awesome man, like on and off the field. So you were, man. That's a blessing to see him, like, you know, daily or, you know, weekly.
Oh,
or,
yeah.
You know, that's cool.
I got to meet him through my old man. So my old man had a connection to Wesley College, which is where Jonah went.
Yeah.
And so there was something was happening at the Pukekohe Rec Centre. They had just opened up a new aquatic centre, and Jonah was like the guys that open it and stuff. Yeah. And I was just tagging along with my old man, and then because my old man's a big dude, bro. My old man's like 6'7", bro, 6'7".
Ooh.
He's a big boy.
Oh, yeah.
And then I'm like looking at my dad, and I'm like, oh, who's that huge guy next to my dad? Because I'm used to seeing my dad as like one of the biggest dudes I know. Yeah. And then there's this other guy who's just as big as my old man. And then I get closer and I'm like, holy fuck, that's Jonah.
Oh. Damn.
Bro, and then my dad told me to come over and he goes, oh, Jonah, this is my son. And then he shook my hand, bro. And I swear to you, this is my words. When he shook my hand, I go, I'm never going to wash my hand again. And Jonah just looks at me and laughs. I was like,
hard, bro.
I'm never going to wash my hand again. Bro, that was crazy. I remember that day. I just couldn't believe that there was another guy who's just as big as my old man. And
yeah.
And he's
100%.
And this was, I think he had just dropped the McDonald's burger at the. Is this right?
Yeah. What was it? Is it called the? It might even be in this. G.
I can't remember.
This was McDonald's. The Mac time.
I'm not too sure, bro. I just remember. Oh yeah, I can't. I'm gonna have to YouTube if there's the.
Bro, that's so dope because like what you were just saying as well is like Jonah became a boarder at Wesley College. Like
Oh
dropping
yeah.
knowledge, G. You don't need to read it out of books, mate.
Damn. Yeah. Now I'm thinking. Okay. Now I got it. That's probably gonna be my grail. Imagine a player issue Jonah counties.
Oh man,
Bro.
be amazing.
I
That'd
wouldn't.
be amazing.
I wouldn't be able to afford it.
You'll get it, my G. You'll get it.
Yeah, yeah, put it out there to the world. Bro,
100%.
um, you're just making me think, hey, like, oh, like it would be interesting to hear what other people's grails are, and just because of
Yeah.
the value behind the material, even the story behind it, and
Yeah.
why is that your grail? Yeah,
Yeah. Because that brings a whole nother sort of aspect to what we do as well. Is it's like it's like almost like we're digging and subliminally in our mind we're like digging for our grails, but we're also digging other people's grails, and we don't
yeah,
know what their grails are.
yeah,
But
bro.
it's like that ultimate like as a whole, we're just digging other people's grails as well as our grails.
Yeah, there's a few people in my head now. I'm thinking, I'd love to know what his grail is. I'd love to know what
Yeah.
her grail is. Yeah.
Yeah, like
What?
I would love to know what the homie NZ Jersey Hunter would be.
Yeah, yeah. I'd like to hear because there's different kind of you got the sports people, you got the rugby dudes, you got
Yeah,
the basketball heads, you got the sneaker heads. Because when I shared that story about the Grail too, it was like there were people who sent me pictures of Jordans. There were people who sent me like all sorts of stuff.
yeah,
Temex Super Rugby jersey,
yeah.
yeah. Hardly
So
any.
that
Sorry, bro.
no, you keep going, Margie.
Oh no, I was just saying though there were hardly any band tees. Not too many
Yeah.
people were. Yeah, but I wondered though, like surely there's
Yeah.
someone that's got like a
Oh,
dope.
definitely. Like I know a few homies over on the band T side that are in the that and they would have grails that no one would know of as well. Like
Oh
because
wow.
band
Okay.
because band tees like go so different. Like there's like you know what I mean. There's band tees that are around that like but there's band tees that were only released at certain concerts and things like
Okay.
that.
So the rarity and the limited kind of okay.
Yeah, like I think that like there's a few Sonic Youth pieces that I
Oh
forget
yeah.
the
I think
place in New York, but there's like a certain one, out of there, and that's the sort of like the more appealing one to out of all of them. They're all the same T-shirt, but it's got that one back hit on that one.
yeah.
And so like just from that one story or one aspect of band tees, there's so many bands. So many rappers, so many hip hop crews. So it's quite a diverse grail industry.
Yeah, heck yeah. I would,
Like that's why I always love that aspect of going back to like we're digging gems, we're digging gold, we're digging through gold mines or digging through this to find the gold and the gems. And there is that aspect that there the sad aspect is we have to dig because there's always going to be crap, as well.
mm,
Or I wouldn't say crap. There's always going to be a use for something, and we just haven't thought about it, or we're not using it in this maybe the best way possible, as such. Like I was thinking about it the other day. I was, even through all the t-shirts and stuff that we have, some things do go to waste. Some things get moldy, from storage, or you get a stain that you just can't get out or something. But I like to turn it into rags or something that I'm going to use again or something like that. But the other day, I ripped up a polo shirt. It was just too far gone for me to even. Like I like to save things, but some things you just can't. But I ripped off the collar, and the sleeves off the ribbing off the sleeves, and I rolled them up into like this thing, and I was like, holy shit! I mean, it would be very time consuming, but you could roll all these things up and make rugs out of these things and mats and things like that,
ah,
And
Bit
I
of
don't know,
bit of
just in general, just
repurpose, eh? Yeah,
repurpose. I
yeah,
love repurposing. I love upcycling and stuff like that. That's a lot what I did when I was working for mum and dad. Is like I've always been a creative person like yourself. Is like I suppose it's also creative, but seeing the potential in things and seeing a different function to things. So I was always repurposing things. Like I like that aspect of there's this function for it, but it could also have this other function, or have
yeah,
both at the same time.
yeah.
Or
Hard
it
up.
could be used, as something else. Like one thing's like going back to that antique sort of aspect is, and you've probably seen it in antique stores or secondhand stores that you've been through, or just in general, even in homes, is I love to go to garage sales and generally old 60s, 70s. How New Zealand homes had a old wooden workbench out in the garage, and I love the old ones. Nice brand new tops that would have come from the wharf. Because they were recyclers back then in that era. They like to use, or they might have got a good slab of wood from work that might have been going to be chucked out or something, and then they took it home and used it as their workbench. And it was a beautiful piece of carry, or something beautiful. And over time, it's been beat in, painted on, slashed on, and everything. And like what I used to go in and do is just buy them at the garage sales or whatnot. Sometimes they used to be free, and they still had devices on them and stuff like that. And I used to sort of, sand them back, polish them up, keep the paint splatters on them, the beaten up look, and just put a nice sort of clear coat over it. And people would use it as their dining tables, and had the industrial looks, and just repurposed a workbench into something cool looking, industrial looking in their
Yeah.
kitchen.
Oh,
It looks good
yeah,
on a nice concrete polished floor.
yeah. I love that.
Yeah.
I've recently renovated my garage because I'm turning it into my workspace. So
Yes.
hence why all the stuff's happening in the background. And yeah,
Yeah.
bro, I took everything out of my garage and I've repurposed like
Oh,
a lot of the wood.
I
And
must say that I did love that. How you was your bench, was that very similar to our old school workbench?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So that bench that I've been working on in some of my videos has been
Yeah.
as a repurpose. So I built tables and I put them on oh, I'm forgetting the word, but I put them on wheels anyway, so they're
Yep.
movable. Yeah, so
Fire. Fire, bro.
I'll actually send you a few pics, bro. So you'll be like, ah,
Yeah, bro.
sweet, yeah. And
Yeah.
I think for me, I, I'm I put it down to being a problem solver.
Yes, 100%, man.
Yeah, I like finding solutions to problems.
Yeah.
So, and that's why I'm like, okay, I have this storage problem in my garage.
Yeah, yeah.
What could I do to, kind of mitigate my issue with all this, stock that I have and this accumulation of junk, of videotapes it's ridiculous the amount of videotapes I have. But
Yeah.
but I actually watch them. I'll sit in here and work and like watch like the Goonies and like,
Ooh,
different scenes and stuff. But
you can never watch that too many times.
nah, it's every time like put it away for a few months, pull it out again. And you're like, it's so refreshing and
Oh, it's
watching
so
it
good.
again. Um, Actually, a Goonies t-shirt would be dope as a grail.
Bro, it would be
That
very
would be
much.
even if there was like a modern version, I'd still buy that. Eh, like
Yeah,
all good.
yeah.
I love that
Because I
movie.
even messed with the Stranger Things, like
Yeah, yeah.
it sort of gave me that vibe, the Goonies vibe.
Yeah,
As
did
such.
they? I feel
Yeah,
like they went that way purposely
yeah,
too.
yeah.
Yeah.
Hard, hard. So it gave
Um,
me that vibe. So I even like some of the Stranger Things stuff that came out. Yeah, yeah. Hard. The Goonies, man. That would be a sick grail for sure.
if speaking of grails, bro, if people want to find themselves their own grail and they need to come to your store, where can they find you, bro?
So we're located top of the south in Nelson, New Zealand. If you're out of the country, but yeah, we're in Nelson, New Zealand, on 16 Hope Street, which is located sort of in the city centre, but we're down a little side street. And yeah, it's just quite it's a bit of an aesthetic as such. We're heading away, so big roller door rolls up, and you just walk through the roller door and up the stairs, and we're in a little loft up the back of a shed in the middle of town. It's quite cool. It's quite cool
It
that there's
sounds cool.
a shed's still in the middle of town. You know what I mean? Usually they've all been, smashed down or something like that. But this has been sort of we've got a cool landlord. They're sort of like the people that own the shed. They have their own business and they're builders as such. So they've actually the loft that we're in, they actually made that, like a second level and stuff like that. And then so it's quite a cool little spot. But we're up the top of a loft up, a hidden a little way gem as such with the gems. It's a treasure box.
Definitely, I love that. Just because me and you can talk for ages, and what I've realized now is that this isn't gonna be the last time that I talk to you, bro. So I'm like, I might wrap it up here. But
hard, bro.
What I love, bro, is that when you first started talking and we're having this corridor, you started with, I went out with my parents antiquing, and I used to roll under the door as the door rolled up. And then now you got your own store. We actually have to go through and, like, to get to your shop. I'm like, bro, this is dope. I love that like full cycle, that 360 come back around.
That's so cool because I've only just realized that. Like you pointed that out to me. That is a full circle right there in itself, eh? And do you know what's really cool is I've always dreamed, like, I suppose it's always been an aspiration of mine as well, as that people did that to our stores, like, yo, let's get in there,
Bro, that's cool. But yeah, bro. Sorry, go.
No, that's just like probably the whole aspect of probably my wife and we're very laid back as well. It's like, even like we're a free spirited, like, as myself as well, like I would like to say is, like, just in that sense, is we're very free spirited. So when people come into our store, we want them to be themselves, catch that positive vibe of it, but also never be afraid to what you believe in, what you want to say or anything like that. But also, as an aspect of probably what I'd like people to know as well is about myself is I'm not just a vintage clothing dealer. That's not just who I am as well. I'm also, free-spirited being, love being a lover as such, go through anything what other human beings go through as well. But most of all, I love spreading that positive love, that vibe, and love learning about my own self, through doing all of that. I learn more and more about myself each day, and I like to challenge that as such. So that's probably the cool thing about jumping in to do what I loved and growing up and developing all these skills is I've developed a very cool skill set, many skill sets, but also through that had trials and errors and found that I'm also my own person as well, which is cool. Like, and I can take myself out of that, So that's a cool thing that I've always liked to put on top of that is like, the vintage is not the end of me, and it's not, that's not the whole thing about me as well. There's more to me than that.
Yeah. No, I love it, bro. Your energy is infectious, bro. And when I first started out in this game, you were definitely one of my role models, bro. I would say that as someone who I look to, and I just love that I can actually just call you, bro, and have a yarn with you now. Like, it's so cool to just be able to do this. And thanks for coming on board, bro. This isn't going to be the last time, bro. Like, there's so much more we can talk about, bro. Like,
oh man, like that didn't even scratch the surface. Like, I feel like that, like the last time we had a call, bro. And I just want to on top of that, bro, and that's vice versa, man, and that's very genuine from myself as well. You're infectious as well. Like, I wouldn't be on your stories messaging you, and saying what up, or and I genuinely do care about you as well in those terms as well as, and then I know that that's vice versa back at myself, and it's like, real see real, bro, real see real, and it's not even about that, but it's just nice to get into a chat, have have, it's like, well, I don't even know how to put it. Have a starting subject, and then you can just take it away like the wind. you know?
I think like what I'm trying to do with this thing, bro, is just to be able to create a safe space for us to just be ourselves. Just like your store. When people
Yeah,
come into your shop, you just want
that's
them,
it.
feel safe to be themselves, and yeah.
Yeah,
Because I don't even know what I'm trying to do with this, but
yeah,
I'm just glad that I got people like you backing me up, and I know there's
yeah,
going to be more conversations to come. And I definitely know, bro, that when I drop this, there's going to be a lot of you're going to be getting a lot of DMs, bro, and a lot of people hitting you up just about just because of what you've shared and what you've allowed us, this insight into who you are and what you do and what you're about. So
yeah.
no, thank you again, and thank the wifey for
Oh,
giving me her time, bro.
yeah, no, hey, no, it's a pleasure, man. An absolute pleasure to jump on and just have a corridor as well. As it's like it's just cool to talk, just in general about anything. There was no structure to it as such. There was nothing, we just, like I said, took it all, let the wind take us where it went. And that's the beautiful thing about corridor, and just just being. That's one thing I've been definitely loving is just being, bro. Just just doing what you love, or even like the whole looking at things from a different perspective as such. Like there's no right and wrong. Just do
Yeah,
it. Just
yeah,
be, you know, within good moral aspect of it. But yeah, just be. And I think that without those I don't know, what would you say, guidelines or rules around you, if you just be, it sort of like takes that stress away from you. So that's what I've been loving about it, and it's worked a lot in what we do. And I think that also has helped me reach out and talk to people like yourself as well, and other people as well, because I think that we need to share what we have, and in general just talk, whether it's having a laugh about anything, talking about the rugby, talking about grails, even I believe also mental health, even talking about mental health. Like I must say, you've inspired me to do a lot more into those sorts of diving into my own sort of mental health as such. I believe everyone has had a point in their life, or and you're blessed if you haven't, but has a point in their life that they have struggled with the health of the mental, and so I think it's a beautiful thing that we talk about it, and we didn't hide it.
yeah, for real. I think
Because
I,
I follow. It almost brought me to a tear in my eyes when I watched your story the other day, and you're like, "Man, I tried to tough it out, tried that, didn't fucking work." And I was like, "Bro, I fucking did that too, man. Like, I felt that, man. I felt that like 100%." I was like, "Yeah, didn't fucking work, eh?"
didn't fucking work.
And that's a healthy thing. Like, you inspired me, like, just from those two fucking words, because I thought, like, when you said I tried to tough it out, and in my head I was like, didn't fucking work, and then you said it, and I was like, that's a beautiful thing. You made me admit something to myself. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
These things need to be talked about, as well as it's like, I think there's a healthy side to it of it all as a whole. But hey, that's like we say, we could
I reckon
probably talk
that's
about that
yeah,
next time.
that might be our next one, bro. For
Yeah, for sure,
sure.
my
We
G.
could
Sure.
definitely dig into that, bro. And yeah, bro, it's just good having another a whānau member in Nelson now. Extending the family to the bro, and I appreciate your time, my G.
Do it, 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 do it.